Roger, thanks for dropping by. Long time since I did a bonsai video, and if this is a bonsai video, why am I standing in the middle of all my orchids? That's because they're indoors and out there it's all drizzly and horrible, so I'm just filming in here. It's a relatively short video. I've just spent since 9 o'clock this morning till sort of lunchtime-ish at the Bonsai Fayre, or Bonsai Boot Sale as it was once called, organised by Staverton Bonsai Club, Bonsai Society, and it's in an open field, so obviously it is for full enjoyment, weather dependent. The trouble is, if it's on a hot sunny day, there's no shelter. So it was a dull day. Weather threatened to come in at one point and it did rain, but there's plenty of tents, you know, private sellers have brought their own tent with little tables inside. There's plenty of places to get out of the rain, which are good. And just as it started to rain, the ice cream van turned up. Well timed, that man. Anyway, met up with some people, and I'm almost, not 100%, probably 80% certain that I'm going to go back to the Wessex Bonsai Society and start attending their workshops. That's all they do. They have a workshop on the, I think they said it was the last Sunday of the month, something like that, but it's on their website, I can look it up, because it's reinvigorated. There's a few more people come. They've now got enough people to make it worthwhile going, and an amount of those people I know quite well from the old days of that society when it was a big deal. You know, I mean, that had 70, 80 members at one point, held 2 shows a year, and it was a, you know, big well-known society, but it went down. It went right down. But it's coming back up. It's under new management, as they say, and it is sort of coming back up. And Sunday morning workshops are something I can do without jeopardising my most popular orchid video, which is my Sunday chat. I can still film that when I come home, so it might get posted a little bit later than normal. We shall see. But yeah, the workshops are on a Sunday morning starting at 9 o'clock. That's no problem. It's about 4 miles up the road from me, so it's the closest one by far. So I think I may well rejoin that. Now, when I used to go, a long time ago, when it was a big going concern, the Sunday workshops were very busy. I very rarely used to take trees in. The reason being, there were lots of trees being worked on and lots of advice, you know, from the experts and stuff going on all the time. If I'd taken trees into work on, I'd be sat here looking at one tree, concentrating on what I was doing, and all that knowledge and expertise wouldn't be coming to me. It would be virtually wasted on me because I'm doing my thing. So I never used to take trees in. I'm sure some people used to think I didn't have any trees, but I used to spend my time wandering around, you know, listening to what was going on, and anything caught my interest, I'd stop and listen, watch, and I picked up an awful lot of stuff by behaving in that manner. But then those were busy workshops. I don't know whether that would work this time round. But I think I might go to the next one, and I have something in mind that will be well worth taking, and that is my grossly overgrown Deshojo maple that's even got some mould on some of the leaves where it's in total shade. It's relatively heavy shade as well, so you know, it's a sort of damp shaded corner really, but all of the leaves that have got that mould on would be coming off anyway, so I haven't worried about it. I haven't bothered spraying it or anything. We'll see if any of it remains on what remains of the tree after it's been to the workshop. The workshops, if I take trees in each time, which I probably won't, will give me a video as well, because we can do a before, you know, like I can film that the day before or whatever, and then we can do an after. I wouldn't film at the workshop, because obviously there's lots of people's voices and stuff like that going on, and I don't really want a camera stuck in front of me at a workshop. I don't think that would be, well, might not even be allowed, who knows. Anyway, so I went off to the fair, and I'm now going to show you a clip, and I'll rejoin after you've seen this clip. So, as the expression goes, I'll be back.
I'm speaking very quietly because it's not 7 o'clock in the morning yet. I'm off to the bonsai fair, bonsai boot sale basically. There will be some friends there that have their own sales tents or sales marquees. These are private sellers, not traders. How about I put this in the car and see if I can persuade one of them to sell it for me, and they get to keep an amount. I mean, it's effectively, well, you can't really see it very well, but it's 3 trees in a pot of varying sizes, and these are not bonsai, but they could be. Trident maples are not as easy to come by as they used to be, which surprises me because they take from cutting really easily. Now, I took an air layer off one of them, so this is the one that I will be turning into a bonsai. So that's my sort of bonsai tree there. Put on a lot of growth this year. That's to thicken up the trunk. Recently repotted. So how about I take this with me today and see if I can get rid of it. I don't want it, but I also would have real trouble getting rid of it by post, you know, like on eBay or something like that, because trying to box that up would be a nightmare. Whereas I can just chuck it in the car today and maybe say goodbye to it and maybe come home with some pennies. As I say, it's put on a lot of growth. These are healthy trees. I'll keep you posted.
Right, so now you've seen that clip, I did take, the rain's coming on a bit harder now, I can hear it. I took that pot with the 3 trident maples in. Now the guy I was hoping to leave them with to try and sort of sell them, see what he could get for them, wasn't there. However, there was somebody else there. And again, somebody from Wessex Bonsai Society. He used to be the chairman, so I obviously know him quite well. So I gave it to him. He said he'd have a go and see what he could do. Well, by the time it got to going home time, because I'd had enough, it was still there. Now, in the meantime, I'd bought a tree, but I did mention that I might want a deal. And it was arranged that, okay, we may do a deal later, but nonetheless I want this tree, sort of thing. Well, we did the deal. So basically I've come home with a tree that I had no intention of getting, so I have a new tree, which we'll have a look at, and I got rid of my pot with the 3 maples in that I didn't want. And I got some pennies for them, so, you know, everybody happy, as they say. Right, we'll have a look at my new tree. Now, as bonsai trees go, this doesn't look much, but it will be. So let's get the camera down. A bit wobbly and shaky for a minute. And I'm filming inside, so... right, so this is a tree that I've always wanted one of. Now, it's a hawthorn, which technically is a native wild tree. Hawthorns grow everywhere, hillsides, hedgerows, people make hedges out of them. They're thorny, hawthorn, it's all in the name, you know. But this is a special one. It's even got a special name. It's a hybrid that I've been after for a while. And it's called Paul's Scarlet. I wonder why. It's because instead of the normal creamy white blossom that is hawthorn, otherwise known as Maybloom, because they flower in May in the wild, this has deep pink to red blooms. Yeah? Now this actually says red flowers with dark red berries, because I did ask, is it sterile or does it actually produce berries? And it does produce berries. You've got to get it to flower first. Now, this came from Colette, who I've known for donkey's years. I've probably bought my first trees. In fact, those of you who have followed this channel, my 2 sister maples, as they call them, they came from Colette as 6-inch cuttings. They're now relatively mature maple trees. So in my early days of starting out, I used to visit Colette when she was in Southampton. I think it was called Southampton Trees then, whereas now she's in Fordingbridge and I think it's just called Colette's Trees. I don't know, but I did say I would probably visit the nursery. If I visit the nursery, which is just up the road, it's literally about 12 miles up the road, I would be allowed to film. And if I went there, it opens in the afternoon. She's busy working on the trees in the mornings. If I go there in the afternoon, I doubt if there would be many, if any, people. But there could be people having lessons. But under normal circumstances, I would be able to film. And I can always give the lady a ring beforehand to see if she's got any booked appointments that afternoon. And if the answer's no, I stand a reasonable chance of being able to film undisturbed. So we may do that. Anyway, as I said, as bonsai trees go, this may not look much yet, but this flowers in the spring, around May, yeah, so late spring, on the previous year's wood. So this year's growths are next year's blooms, and most of this year's growth has been pruned off because it's had a haircut. The reason for the haircut: to push it back in, take away the long leggy growths, which it hasn't anymore, and start initiating new growth, which it is doing. New growth, new growth, new growths, new growths. So it's starting to shoot out, and it's just August. I mean, you get branches like this need to come off because it's going straight into the middle of the tree. But this hasn't had fine training yet, it's just had a heavy prune basically. But it's got a reasonable sized trunk. As far as I'm concerned, the pot's too big, but it's a training pot. You know, it's probably not long been in a bonsai pot. It could have even come out of the ground, who knows. But my idea now, new growth coming here, again, it's you take shoots off and it will shoot out behind them. So whereas a branch like this is wasted new growth because I'm going to cut it off. So I'll probably cut that off tomorrow. Same in here, these tight branches in the middle of the tree. Better to leave the middle of the tree open. So I've got to push this hard between now and when it finishes growing and goes into autumn and drops its leaves. So this will get quite a heavy feed of nitrogen type feed, a higher nitrogen feed to push growth. I'm not interested in trying to mature the growth. It hasn't got much to mature at the moment. I'm interested in getting as much growth as possible heading towards autumn, and we'll see what we can do. Now, Colette said you might not get flowers next year. There might not be enough of the new growth that's mature enough to actually bloom. But she said if not, then providing you prune it and look after it correctly, it will certainly bloom the following year. Now, I will go on the internet and try and find a picture of one in bloom, which I will put up now. Right, so now maybe you can see why I want one of these. The basic shape for this type of flowering tree is to get a nice ball with all new growth on the outside of that ball. And then the following year, it'll be a mass of blooms on the outside of the tree, not all tucked up inside in between the branches. So that's basically how to look after these. So the idea will be to expand this top and get it quite a bit bigger. The bigger it is, the more potential for blooms there will be. So that's my idea. So there we go, deal done, new tree, and old trees that I didn't want gone. I was dreading I was going to have to bring them home again.
Anyway, and on top of that, quite a lot of people recognised me and came up and said hello, or I know you from your YouTube channel. But what's more important is I met YouTube stardom. One of the biggest UK bonsai channels is Staverton Bonsai. And the guy was there. Now, I'm a bit reluctant to just walk up and speak to people if I'm not certain. Now, bearing in mind this guy's from Newcastle, which is the other end of the country, I thought, I wonder if it is him. I thought, if I stand nearby and he speaks, I'll know straight away. Newcastle accent is very, very distinctive. So I waited, and yes, it was definitely him. So I said hello and this, that and the other. Had a nice chat, and several others as the day went on. But there's a lot in the bonsai world, you could say, are sort of, they're just non-social media people. They don't watch YouTube, they don't do anything on Facebook. They just look after their trees. Knowledge probably from people that they meet at, at society meetings, or from books, 50-year-old out-of-date books. You know me with books. Anyway, so I met YouTube stardom, basically, so that was nice. It made my day, quite honestly, because you don't expect to meet people from the other end of the country. A guy drove down last night and intended to have the day at the fair, perhaps buy some trees or whatever, say hello to people and drive home today. 5.5 hour drive, that one. So, and that's depending on traffic. Now, if you just mentioned traffic, my journey there this morning was quite early on a Sunday morning. I got there at 9 o'clock when it opened. Took me 1 hour and 10 minutes. Took me 2 hours to get home. That's what the traffic's like in the south of England on a Sunday, which is holiday changeover day, when people are going home from their holidays and going out for their holidays. And it's school holidays, so people are out for day trips, visiting places, and roads just cog up, with people that in the main are not in any particular hurry. So I just had to plod along and stick with it. There's no good trying to overtake people. You've got a line of 20 cars in front of you. You might get past a couple, but you're not going to get the lot. So you just as well plod away with everybody else. Anyway, and a nice day out. I didn't get wet, and I didn't have my cooked breakfast. I foregoed it. I didn't have it. So I thought it was a bit extravagant, and it was something I didn't really need. And with the, attempting to do the weight loss, a big Greasy Joe full English breakfast was probably not the best of ideas. So I had a piece of cake and a coffee for breakfast, so there we go. And I will have something decent to eat in a minute when I finish messing about with this video. So there we go, new tree, Hawthorn Paul's Scarlet. So I'll update my notes, add the tree in, and cancel out the ones that have now been sold. So yeah, I'm happy with that day out. Didn't spend too much because I got some back against what I spent on this, if you see what I mean. So happy with that deal. And yeah, I know I don't post very often on the bonsai channel, but I do have some work coming up. And if I go to this next Wessex Bonsai workshop with an intention of working on my Dishojo maple, although that's a few weeks off, to last Sunday of the month, that's either 2 or 3 weeks away. I'd have to go and look at the calendar. But whatever, that'll obviously be a video because it'll be a before and an after. And in between, I need to get my bonsai in, get the weeds out, and just do a summer trim. I have another type of tree that I don't really know what I'm doing with. That's what bonsai workshops are for. So I have another tree that I will probably take in. I may not do the work on it, but I'd get the advice on what the work needs to be. So we should start getting some videos out of the workshops, even though I'm not filming at them. But what I take in, my thoughts before I go, and then the advice I've got with an after video, so before and after type thing, string them together as a single video probably. And yeah, so hopefully there'll be a bit more
in the way of bonsai videos. There's certainly some pruning to do, and I definitely need to tidy up the pots and get the weeds out. In some cases, like my white pine, the weeds and the moss are so dense that the water's running off. It's not getting in the pot properly. So I need to get that back to the bare surface so that the water goes in. Otherwise it'll just dehydrate, day after day. If it's not getting enough moisture, slowly but surely it dries out and just the top's getting some water. So we've got some work to do. So there we go, and I will see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.